Grand Rising loves. This is the altar spread for the collective today. So Mayan dream was the sacred geometry that showed up this morning. Now, if you remember, this showed up not too long ago, but it showed in the upright position. Today it showed up in the reverse. When it shows up in the upright, it's the spiral, right? And it talks about dream time, how you'll receive messages of healing in dream time, and it will help you move past pain, suffering. But showing up in the reverse says, okay, you've released the pain, but you've lost your connection with all that is. And so a lot of times this speaks of the complacency of healing. When you feel better, you're like, oh, okay, and then you revert to old ways. You don't stay with the discipline of the grace, of the gift. I'm about to sneeze. Excuse me. That was fun. I want to talk about this too because it just came up. Squirrel. It was years ago. Both of my kids were babies, and this man came from Canada, and I had a very close friend who owned a nail salon here. She's from Vietnam, and I would literally go there daily because she would feed me, and she's an amazing cook. And so we would hang out, and at the time I was a stay-at-home mom because my kids were small. And wonton soup and fried rice. Like, do I need to say more? But anyhow, she's amazing, and we still keep in touch. She's retired now. But this man came in, and he was from Canada, and he said he wanted to do a study on sneezing. And he said, sneezing is the way of the body to get rid of whatever irritants are in the nasal cavities, right? So one sneeze is sufficient. But he wanted to do a test on this, and he wanted to do women that were very close to each other because he noticed that it happened more with women. That any sneeze that happens after one, so if you sneeze multiple times in succession, it comes from the same place of the brain that is stressed. And so if women are high stress, then they would sneeze more than once. And he finds that men don't do that, which is interesting because men get stressed the fuck out too. But I was like, okay. So he wanted us to keep track of our sneezes when we were together and when we were apart. And he found that when women are with other women that they're very close to, they don't sneeze that. Well, like right now I'm by myself, I sneezed once, but I'm also in my sacred space. I mean, and I just took a sip of my coffee and I have cayenne in it. So, I mean, who knows? Anyway, I sneezed once and I thought that was important to share that. So I just found that interesting, that if you're sneezing more than once, it comes from that part of the brain. It's no longer the part of the brain that's clearing the sinus cavity. It's interesting. Anyhow, ta-da! So if that ever comes up in Trivial Pursuit, so anyhow, the Mayan dream in reverse is saying that you've released the pain. Good job. But now you've lost your connection. So really, when you feel better, don't get complacent. Don't then lose it all. And because that loss of connection to everything and staying in that spiritual mindset will actually allow you to revert back into the programming, the ego mind, deceit, holding others captive to stories, allowing yourself to slip back into illusion. And so stay vigilant and stay connected. Now, the giveaway also showed up in the reverse. And if you remember, the giveaway has shown up before, and it talks about the equal exchange of things, the beautiful gift of grace, but how everything works in cause and effect and also in equal exchange. But showing up in the reverse is posing the question, are you giving too much of yourself? Are you overextending yourself? Because if you are, you won't be able to do that for long. And so the people-pleasing behavior comes from a very deep place of self-worth, right? So ask yourself, why am I giving so much all the time in this particular situation? Am I trying to earn their love, which is manipulation, by the way? Let's call it by its ugliest name so we stop doing it, right? Or are you giving to make yourself feel better? Like you think that you're going to fall in good graces, which is not the truth, right? We should always give from a place of expecting that we won't receive the return, but the equal exchange is important. So especially in our closest relationships, there needs to be that equal exchange. And if it's not equal, then something needs to give. Conversations need to be had, things need to be healed and corrected, or you need to walk. That's the simple thing of it. This came up for me last night. Well, actually for the whole week for me and my children. My children are big. They're 19 and 17. And it's been pressing on me, especially Mars retrograde. You know, this is some really pent-up rage that needed to be expressed. But I'm very accommodating to them. And I've never put them into the programming that I suffered. Or, you know, the whole mindset of not allowing them to be fully who they are. For me, it was always swimming against the current in my childhood because I was so different, but I wasn't going to be any other way. And now looking back, that's my purpose in this life, to do that. And so I was forged of great trials, and I am resilient AF because of it. But I've become over accommodating to my kids because I didn't want them to have to suffer that. And to the point now where it's become almost disrespectful. And they're in my home and they're grown, and you know, the responsibility is important and equal exchange is important. And I had a sacred gift of mine desecrated last night, and it's here, and it's an owl wing, and my daughter's puppy trashed it. And so it's in bits, and it's a thing, right? But it cannot be replaced. And it was a sacred gift from Walking Crow because he knows that owl's my totem. And I was feeling some kind of way about that. Not because of the wing. The wing is important, but because this is a sacred space. And when you love someone, love them. There comes with that a deep level of appreciation and reverence for them and their practices and their things. Not to the point of adopting them, because you don't ever want to lose yourself in love. You don't ever want to become someone else's version of yourself, but to the point where you're like, I know that that is important to them. And so I am going to create a bubble of respect around those things or that space. And so when I came home last night, my bedroom door was open and the puppy had free reign. And yeah, I was livid. And my 19-year-old son had my kitchen thrashed as if he was doing like a damn cooking show. Everything was out dirty. And so I share space, and the cohesiveness of sharing space with other humans is that it's respectful. And I felt very disrespected. And so I am processing that, but they're with their dad. So it's probably better that I'm processing this alone. But boundaries will be made around this for sure. But that definitely also resonates with me. And so are you becoming over accommodating, right? To the point where you're disrespecting or betraying yourself. Like, that's deep self-betrayal. So chiastolate showed up again. I love this stone, convergence. And I carry this daily, like I said before. It's a beautiful little stone. It's also known as cross stone and andesite, or I'm probably butchering that. But it represents all four corners, right? So it's protection. It's like a medicine wheel, right? And all the four elements, which is why I carry it. It's protective shaman stone. But it also calls us to look at the big picture, because what we exist in is this intricate web. It's a matrix. And so weaving the reality of our existence, even events that are seemingly unrelated are, because they have this common end result. And so when you look at the bigger picture, you start to realize reason for things. And it makes the experience far easier, effortless even, to the point where you can just say, I am experiencing this, because we are the ever infinite, never changing observer. We are that which animates the earth suit. But we planned everything before we showed up here. So we're just watching it play out. And the misery comes when we try to go against the grain, instead of just looking at the big picture, right? And so Padma Sundari showed up today for the Earth Warriors. Out of the darkness, light is born. This talks about protection and how there is a light that casts no shadow, and that no matter what trials or obstacles you're faced with, divine always has a bigger plan, and divine will always come out on top. And so this is the whole, like, this will always prevail because you are this. So there are no losses. And to know that you are that light that casts no shadow. And this is not the happy, shiny love, light. I mean, there is also darkness, and the darkness is important to integrate. That's part of the message of convergence as well. Like, what parts of you do you need to integrate? Are you ignoring any part of yourself? But that's also the connectedness, because we are connected to all that is. And when you recognize yourself as whole, that also becomes more effortless. And holding other people accountable becomes more effortless as well. And so, you know, like I always said, I know where my ego exists. It exists with my children and in the most intimate settings. And so this has shown up for me to clear that with my children, to say, you know what? I'm holding you accountable now. I will no longer be over accommodating, but boundaries will be set there, because I will not betray myself. I will not, because there are no others. We are one. And so I will prevail, as they will, in their own universe. And you will in your universe. And so being that light that casts no shadow, it talks a lot about that heart-centeredness and intent, because you increase your vibration in light by operating from that space. So don't get complacent when you start feeling better. Don't get complacent and slip back into the programming or ego mindset. holding others captive. Come from this place. Come from this place always. And that's the spread for the day. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. If you say this with me every day, you actually feel the energetic shift happen. I love you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Please forgive me.